A black Escalade pulled into the parking lot of Ridgemont Park in Macon, Georgia, at 2:41 on a Saturday afternoon. The engine stayed running. The man inside did not step out. He was not waiting for anyone. He was not on a phone call. The car was not broken down. He was looking through the windshield at a wooden picnic table where a young woman was pressing a single candle into a slice of bread layered with ice cream. One candle, no cake, no guests yet, just her, the table, and a plastic bag of dollar store decorations. He sat there for 4 minutes. 4 minutes because he recognized that table, not the table itself, what was on it. If this story satisfies you, like the video and subscribe to the channel. And tell me, what did your birthday look like when you were 8? Jolene woke at 4:50 every morning. The alarm on her phone was set to 4:55, but her body beat it by 5 minutes. It had been doing that since Elijah started first grade, and she picked up the second job. The first job was at Greenleaf Laundromat on Vineville Avenue. She clocked in at 6:15. She folded, sorted, loaded, and unloaded for other people's clothes until 2:00 the afternoon. She made $9.25 an hour, no tips, no benefits. The owner paid her in a check every Friday that came to $323.75 before taxes. The second job was at a diner called Harley's on Pio Avenue. She waited tables from 4:30 to 10, Tuesday through Saturday. The base pay was $2.13 an hour plus tips. On a good night, she made $55 in tips. On a bad night, she made $18. Most nights were bad nights. Harley's was not the kind of place where people left more than they owed. Between the two jobs, she had a window, 2 to 4 to 15. That window was everything. She picked Elijah up from the after-school program at 2:40. She drove him home. She made him a snack. She checked his homework. She changed into her diner clothes. She left him with Mrs. Loomis downstairs, who watched him for free because Jolene braided her granddaughter's hair every other Sunday for free. Nobody called it a deal. It just was. The apartment was on the second floor of a building on Houston Avenue. 2 bedrooms, $675 a month. The hallway smelled like carpet cleaner and something underneath the carpet cleaner that the carpet cleaner could not reach. The kitchen had a window that faced a brick wall. Jolene kept a glass jar on the counter next to the stove. It was a pickle jar. She had washed it out and dried it and started putting coins in it 7 months ago. Every night when she came home from the diner, she emptied her apron. She placed the bills in an envelope in her dresser drawer. She put the coins in the jar, quarters on one side, dimes and nickels on the other. She did not mix them. She counted the jar every Sunday morning while Elijah was still asleep. She poured the coins onto the kitchen table and sorted them into stacks of $1 each. Last Sunday the jar held $34.50. She did not write that number down. She held it in her head. She held a lot of numbers in her head. $675 for rent. $112 for the electric bill that was 2 months behind. $48 for gas in the car, which was a 2007 Civic with 187,000 miles on it and a check engine light that had been on since March. $31 for Elijah's school supplies this month. $22 she still owed Mrs. Loomis for the time she watched Elijah 3 extra nights when Jolene picked up overtime. Every week she chose milk or gas, laundry soap, or the lunch account balance that the school sent a notice about. New socks for Elijah, or the copay at the clinic for the cough that had been sitting in her chest since February. She chose the way you choose when there is no right answer. You pick the thing that matters most today, and you let tomorrow's thing wait, and you hope tomorrow does not come too fast. She ate dinner at the diner when the cook made too much. On the nights he did not, she drank water and ate whatever Elijah had left on his plate. She did not think of this as sacrifice. She thought of it as Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. She did not tell Elijah about the jar. She did not tell him about the bills or the choices or the math she ran in her head every night before she fell asleep. She told him she was saving for something special. She was. She just did not know yet what $34.50 could buy that would be special enough for a boy who deserved everything she could not give him. She did not know that the black Escalade would pull into her life on the following Saturday. She did not know that the man inside it had once sat at a table just like hers, counting coins that added up to the same kind of nothing. She did not know any of this. She just folded the apron, placed the coins in the jar, and turned off the kitchen light. Elijah counted things. He counted the steps from his classroom door to the cafeteria. 47. He had walked it enough times to be sure. He counted the ceiling tiles above his desk. 32 full ones and 4 half ones along the window wall. He counted the number of chicken nuggets in his free lunch tray every day. The answer was usually 6, sometimes 5. Once it was 7, and he remembered that day. He counted because counting made things real. If you counted something, it stayed. It had a number. Numbers did not change their mind. Numbers did not move away. Numbers did not promise things and then go quiet. His father had gone quiet when Elijah was 4. He remembered the sound of the door and the sound of the car and then the sound of nothing that came after. He did not count the days his father had been gone because that was a number that kept getting bigger, and Elijah preferred numbers that stayed the same. At school, he sat in the 3rd row by the window. He was quiet. Not shy. Quiet. There is a difference. Shy means you want to speak, but you cannot. Quiet means you are listening to everything and choosing what is worth saying. Elijah chose carefully. In October, a boy named Devin told the class about his birthday party at the bowling alley. 12 kids, pizza, a trophy for the winner. Devin brought photos on his mom's phone and passed it around during lunch. Elijah looked at each photo. He did not say anything. He passed the phone to the next kid. In November, a girl named Brianna talked about her party at the pool. A DJ played music on speakers by the diving board. There was a chocolate fountain. She got a new bike. In January, Devin asked Elijah what he did for his 7th birthday. Elijah said, "We went to the park." He did not say that the park was the plan because the park was free. He did not say that his mother made sandwiches, and they sat on the grass and she sang happy birthday, and that was it. He said, "We went to the park," and Devin said, "Cool," and that was the end of it. Now his 8th birthday was 23 days away. He knew because he had been marking the corner of his math notebook with small X marks since the start of the month. 1 X per day, 23 X marks so far. One night he was lying in bed reading a library book about a dog that could talk. Jolene was next to him, still in her diner uniform. She smelled like coffee and fryer grease. Her eyes were half closed. "Mom, what are we doing for my birthday this year?" Jolene opened her eyes. She looked at the ceiling for 2 seconds. Then she smiled. "I have a really great plan." "What is it?" "It is a surprise." He looked at her. He was 8, but he looked at her the way someone much older looks at someone who is trying. He saw the trying. He did not push. "Okay," he said. He went back to his book. Jolene kissed his forehead and went to the kitchen. She sat at the table. She pulled the pickle jar toward her and unscrewed the lid. She poured the coins out. She sorted them into stacks. She counted $34.50. She sat there for a long time. Elijah had a notebook, not the math notebook with the X marks, a different one. It was small, brown, and soft from being opened and closed every night. Jolene had bought it for him at a dollar store when he was 6 because he said he wanted to be a writer. She had spent $1.25 on it. It was the only thing in the store she bought that day that was not on the list. Every night before he went to sleep, Elijah opened the notebook and wrote one line, just one. He had been doing this for 2 years. The entries were short. "Today we had mac and cheese. It was good. Mom came home late. I did homework by myself. I counted 47 steps to the cafeteria, same as yesterday, 22 days until my birthday." He kept the notebook under his pillow. Jolene did not know what was inside it. She knew he wrote in it. She did not ask what he wrote. She figured it was stories about the talking dog or drawings of spaceships or whatever 8-year-old boys put in notebooks. It was not stories. It was not drawings. It was a record. A daily record of one small true thing, written in handwriting that leaned to the right because he held his pencil too tight. He did not know why he kept it. He just knew that if he wrote one thing down each night, then that day was real. It had happened. It counted. He was a boy who needed things to count. Jolene had $34.50. She sat at the kitchen table the Saturday before Elijah's birthday and wrote a list on the back of a gas station receipt. She used a pen that was running out of ink. She pressed hard. Bread, $3.20. The store brand, white, soft enough to cut into shapes. Ice cream, $4.75. One tub of vanilla, store brand. Not the one with the picture of the cow, the one below it on the shelf, the one in the plain white container that cost $1 less. Sprinkles, $1.89. Rainbow. She almost put them back. Then she did not. Birthday candles, $1. A pack of 12. She only needed one. The number 8, paper plates, $2.15. A pack of 20. White with a blue rim. Plastic cups, $1.50. Clear. She chose clear because the colored ones were $2.25. Napkins, $1.10. Balloons, $3. A bag of 15. She would only be able to blow up 6. Her lungs had not been the same since the pneumonia last winter. 6 was enough. 6 was fine. Juice boxes, $3.49. A pack of 8. Apple. The fruit punch was cheaper, but Elijah liked apple. That left $12.42 for gas to get to the park and back. The park was free. The picnic tables were free. The parking lot was free. The air was free. The shade from the oak tree was free. Jolene had done the math on all of this. She had done it 3 times. Friday night, after her diner shift, she drove to the 2-4-hour grocery store. She bought everything on the list. She carried the bags inside and set them on the kitchen counter. She checked the receipt. $22.08. She had $12.42 left. She put it in the jar. Then she started making the cake. She took 4 slices of bread. She cut each slice into a circle using the rim of a drinking glass. She pressed down and twisted and peeled away the crusts. 4 white circles. She stacked them, 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top, with a layer of vanilla ice cream in between. She spread ice cream on top with a butter knife. She worked slowly. The ice cream was melting. The kitchen was warm. She opened the sprinkles. She shook them over the top. Rainbow dots on white ice cream on white bread. She pressed the number 8 candle into the center. It leaned slightly to the left. She straightened it. It leaned again. She left it. She put the cake in the freezer and stood in the kitchen looking at the closed freezer door. At 11:14 that night, she picked up her phone. She typed birthday cake ideas cheap into the search bar. She scrolled. 3-tier fondant castles. Character cakes with airbrushed faces. Cakes shaped like race cars, like unicorns, like entire amusement parks. Each one was $100, $200, $300. She scrolled for 4 minutes. Then she turned the phone off and set it face down on the counter. The cake in the freezer cost $9.84. She turned off the light. Jolene pulled into the parking lot at Ridgemont Park at 9:58 on Saturday morning. The party was not until noon, but the picnic tables at Ridgemont were first come, first serve. No reservations, no permits for small gatherings. You showed up early, or you sat on the grass. Elijah was in the back seat. He had been awake since 6:30. He had put on his cleanest shirt, a blue one with a collar that Jolene had ironed the night before using a pot of boiling water because the iron had stopped working in March. He had combed his own hair. He had brushed his teeth twice. He carried the bag of balloons in his lap. He had counted them already. 15 in the bag. His mother had told him they would blow up 6. Table 7 was open. It sat under a large oak tree near the back of the park, away from the playground, away from the parking lot. One of the legs was loose. It wobbled when you pressed on the left side. The wood was old and weathered, and someone had carved initials into the seat. But the shade from the oak covered the entire table, and the grass around it was thick and soft, and there was a trash can nearby and a water fountain 30 steps away. Elijah counted. Jolene spread a cloth over the table. It was a bedsheet, white with small blue flowers. She had washed it that morning. She smoothed it with her hands, tucked the edges underneath, and pressed the corners flat. She set out the paper plates, 8 of them, in a circle, she set out the plastic cups. She placed a juice box at each plate. She put the napkins in the center. Under a rock she picked up from the ground so they would not blow away. Elijah blew up the balloons. He blew hard into each one, tied the end with his fingers, and looped a piece of string around the knot. 6 balloons. 3 blue, 2 yellow, 1 red. He tied them to the back of the bench. They floated about a foot above his head. One of them was already losing air. He noticed. He did not say anything. The guests arrived between 11:30 and noon. Marcus Jr. came first. He was 7. He lived in the apartment below Jolene's with his grandmother. He wore basketball shorts and a t-shirt with a stain on the front. He brought a card. It was a folded piece of construction paper with "Happy Birthday Elijah" written in crayon. The J was backwards. Destiny came next. She was 9. Her mother worked the same shift as Jolene at the laundromat. She wore sandals and a sundress that was a little too big. She brought a bag of gummy bears. Isaiah was last. His mother dropped him off at 11:55. He was Elijah's age, the only classmate who came, because he was the only one whose mother had a car and said yes. He was holding a toy car. A Hot Wheels, red, with one wheel that did not spin anymore. It was wrapped in a Ziploc bag. The bag was the wrapping. None of them wore party clothes. None of them carried boxes with bows. They came the way they were, and they sat at table 7 under the oak tree. And they looked at the 6 balloons and the juice boxes and the blue flowered sheet, and they did not say anything about what was missing, because they did not know anything was supposed to be missing. They were kids. The table was enough. At 12:15, while Jolene was laying out the paper plates with ice cream sandwiches on them, a white cargo van pulled into the far side of the parking lot. 2 men in black t-shirts got out. They began unloading a folding canopy, a helium tank, boxes of decorations, and a 3-foot-tall speaker. By 12:30, a white tent stood on the grass 200 feet from table 7. A woman in a yellow dress was directing the setup. Helium balloons, 30 of them, at least, were tied in clusters along the tent poles. A man in a clown suit was inflating balloon animals near a folding table covered with a tablecloth that matched the napkins, that matched the plates, that matched the banner that read, "Happy 7th birthday, Bryce." Jolene did not look over. Elijah did. Across the grass, on the other side of the oak tree's shadow, the tent was going up. The birthday was for Bryce Ashford. He was 7. His mother was Victoria. She was the PTA president at Elijah's school. She organized the fall fundraiser, the spring talent show, and the holiday gift drive. She knew every teacher by first name. She signed her emails with "warmly." She drove a white Lexus SUV. The party cost $4,200. That number broke down like this: tent and table rental, $600. Clown and balloon artist, $350. DJ and speaker setup, $300. Custom castle cake, 3 tiers, fondant turrets, and a moat made of blue icing, $480. Photo booth with props and instant prints, $275. 30 goodie bags at $15 each, $450. Catered chicken tenders, mac and cheese, fruit skewers, and lemonade from a restaurant downtown, $520. Helium balloons, banners, streamers, custom tablecloth, matching plates and napkins, $225. A bounce house was scheduled but canceled that morning because the ground was uneven. Victoria had demanded a $200 refund. She received $150 and was still upset about the remaining $50. 30 children showed up. They arrived in SUVs and sedans. They wore new clothes. They carried wrapped presents and placed them on a gift table that stretched 6 feet long. At table 7, the 4 children sat with their ice cream sandwiches and their juice boxes and their 6 balloons. They watched the clown twist a dachshund out of a long pink balloon. They watched children run in and out of the tent screaming. They heard the DJ play a song that made all 30 kids start dancing on the grass. Isaiah looked at the clown. He looked for a long time. "They got a clown over there," he said quietly. Elijah looked at his balloons. The red one had sagged lower than the others. The string was still tied tight, but the air inside had started to give. "We got balloons," he said. He pointed at the 6 of them. He did not point at the 30 floating above the white tent. Nobody said anything else about the other party. They ate their ice cream sandwiches. They drank apple juice. Marcus Jr. spilled his on the sheet. Jolene wiped it with a napkin and told him it was fine. Victoria stood at the edge of the tent. She held a glass of lemonade in one hand. She wore linen. She watched the DJ. She checked her phone. She turned and looked across the grass toward table 7. She looked at the bedsheet. She looked at the paper plates. She looked at the 6 balloons tied to the bench. She looked at the woman standing behind the table in a t-shirt and jeans, slicing something that was not a cake. She looked for 3 seconds. Then she turned back to her own party. She did not say anything. Not yet. Marcus was worth $1.2 billion on paper. He owned 63 restaurants across 14 states. The chain was called Tate and Table. The logo was a fork and knife crossed over a wooden table, simple, the kind of design that people see so often they stop seeing it, but they remember it. He started with a food truck in Atlanta. He was 26. He had $4,300 in savings and a recipe for smoked brisket that his uncle had taught him on a charcoal grill behind a duplex in College Park. The food truck was a used step van he bought from a plumber for $3,100. It smelled like PVC glue for the first 2 months. The first plate he sold was a brisket sandwich with coleslaw and a pickle, $7. The customer was a construction worker on his lunch break. He ate it standing on the curb and came back the next day and brought 2 co-workers. Day 1 revenue was $212. He kept the receipt. He still kept it. It was in a frame in his office behind the door where most people did not notice it. Year 1, the truck lost $41,000. He worked 19-hour days. He drove the truck to a different corner every morning and learned which corners worked and which did not by counting how many plates he sold before noon. If the number was under 15, he moved. If it was over 15, he stayed. He moved a lot that first year. Year 2, the truck broke even. Year 3, he opened a restaurant, a small one, 12 tables, in a strip mall off Moreland Avenue. He painted it himself. He built the counter out of reclaimed wood he found behind a demolished house. He hired 2 people. He still cooked every plate. By year 5, he had 3 locations. By year 10, 11. By year 15, the name was in airports and food courts, and the kind of magazines that use the word empire to describe a man who once smelled like PVC glue. Forbes put him on a list. He did a segment on CNN. He gave a speech at a conference in Chicago where he told a room full of entrepreneurs that the secret was not vision. The secret was showing up at 5 a.m. to a truck that smelled like a plumber's van and selling 1 sandwich to 1 man standing on 1 curb. The audience applauded. They always applauded that part. He always felt strange when they did. He did not hire a driver. He drove himself. A black Escalade, 3 years old, 47,000 miles. He ran every morning, not at a gym, at a park. He preferred public parks. He liked the sound of other people's lives happening around him. Dogs, children, joggers who did not know who he was and did not care. He kept a tin box in his desk drawer at the corporate office. It was the size of a deck of cards. It was dented on 1 corner. He had carried it from apartment to apartment, city to city, for 40 years. Nobody in his company knew what was inside it. His assistant had asked once, casually, and he had said, "Something my mother gave me." He did not say what. He did not have a routine at Ridgemont Park. His usual route was along the Riverside Trail, 6 miles, every Saturday at 7 a.m. But that morning, the city had closed a half-mile stretch of Riverside for a water main repair. He checked his phone at 6:45. He pulled up the map. Ridgemont was the closest alternative, 2 miles from his house. He drove there. He parked. He stretched by the car. He started running at 7:12. He did not know that a woman named Jolene had arrived at the same park 2 hours later with a pickle jar's worth of birthday party in the trunk of a 2007 Civic. He did not know that a tent would go up on the east side of the grass with 30 helium balloons and a 3-tier cake. He did not know that a boy named Elijah would be sitting at table 7 under an oak tree with 6 balloons that were already losing air. He did not know that the left turn he made at Elm Street that morning, the The turn he made only because the road he usually took was blocked would change 3 lives. He just ran. Gloria worked the night shift at a poultry processing plant outside Atlanta. She started at 10 p.m. She finished at 6 a.m. Her hands smelled like bleach and cold chicken when she came home. She made $6.15 an hour. Before taxes. Before the bus fare that cost $1.50 each way because the plant was 11 miles from the apartment and she did not have a car. The apartment was 1 bedroom on the 3rd floor of a building on Joseph E. Boone Boulevard. The elevator had been broken since before Marcus was born. The stairwell smelled like mildew and something that might have been cooking oil from the apartment on the 1st floor. Marcus slept on a fold-out couch in the living room. Gloria slept in the bedroom. When she slept, most mornings she came home, took a shower, made Marcus breakfast, walked him to the bus stop, and sat down at the kitchen table. She did not go to bed. She sat. She drank coffee from a mug that said "World's Best Mom" that Marcus had brought home from a school holiday sale. He had paid for it with coins he collected from under the vending machine at the laundromat next door. 35 cents. The mug cost $0.25. On the morning of Marcus's 8th birthday, Gloria came home from the plant at 6:20. She took a shower. She put on a clean dress, not because there was a party. There was no party. No invitations. No guests. No family nearby. Gloria's mother had died when Marcus was 3. Her sister lived in Mobile and called on Christmas and sometimes in April. That was the full list. Gloria went to the kitchen. She opened the bread bag. She took out 2 slices. She placed them on the counter. She picked up a drinking glass and pressed it into the first slice, turning it, cutting a circle out of the bread. She did the same with the second slice. She opened the jar of peanut butter. She spread it on one circle, then the other, then stacked them with a thin layer in between. She sprinkled powdered sugar on top from a box she kept on the shelf above the stove. The sugar settled on the peanut butter like snow. She opened a drawer. She took out a single birthday candle. It was white. It was not a number candle. It was just a candle. She pressed it into the center of the bread. She lit it with a match. She sang. She sang Happy Birthday alone in a kitchen with yellow walls and a window that faced a fire escape. She sang it quietly, not because she was ashamed, but because the walls were thin and the neighbors worked nights too, and she had learned a long time ago to take up less space than she needed. Marcus sat at the table. He looked at the candle. He looked at his mother. He did not look at the bread and think it was not a cake. He looked at the bread and thought it was the most important thing anyone had ever made for him. "Make a wish, baby," Gloria said. "Don't tell nobody. Just keep it right here." She reached across the table and pressed her palm against his chest, right over his heart. She held it there for 3 seconds. He blew out the candle. He did not tell her the wish. He kept it right there, exactly where she said. That night, after Gloria thought he was asleep, Marcus lay on the fold-out couch and listened. He heard her sit at the kitchen table. He heard her pour coffee into the mug, and then he heard a sound he had never heard before. She was crying. Not loud, not dramatic, just a thin, steady sound that leaked out of her the way air leaks from a balloon that has not been tied tight enough. She cried for a long time. Marcus did not move. He did not get up. He did not call for her. He lay on the fold-out couch and listened and held the sound in the same place. He held the wish, right there, in his chest. Gloria died when Marcus was 31. Pancreatic cancer. 11 weeks from diagnosis to funeral. She was 58. She had never seen the first restaurant. She had never seen the food truck. She had seen the savings account with $4,300 in it, and she had said, "That is a lot of sandwiches, baby." And he had not known whether she meant it was a lot of money or not enough. He kept the candle, the one from that morning, the white one, burned down to 1.5 inches, with a black wick that curled at the tip. He put it in a tin box. He carried it from Atlanta to Nashville to Charlotte to Chicago to every city the restaurants opened in. He kept it in his desk drawer. He had never shown it to anyone. He had never explained what it meant. He did not need to explain it. He knew what it was. It was the morning his mother turned bread into a birthday and made a kitchen with yellow walls feel like the only place in the world that mattered. 40 years later, He looked through the windshield of a black Escalade and saw a woman pressing a single candle into a piece of bread covered with ice cream. He saw that candle again. The 4 children were playing tag around the oak tree. Elijah was it. He chased Marcus Jr. around the trunk twice and tagged him on the shoulder, and Marcus Jr. laughed so hard he tripped on a root and sat down in the grass and kept laughing. Destiny was standing on the bench, calling out that she was safe because her feet were not on the ground. Isaiah argued that the bench did not count. Elijah said the bench counted. Isaiah accepted this ruling without further discussion. Jolene stood behind the table, cutting the ice cream sandwiches into smaller pieces. The ice cream had softened in the heat. It was starting to slide between the bread layers. She worked quickly, pressing each piece onto a paper plate before it could fall apart. She used a plastic knife. It bent every time she pressed down. She did not complain about the knife. She just pressed harder. The white tent across the grass was in full celebration. The DJ was playing a song with a heavy bass line. 30 children were dancing. The clown was making a giraffe out of balloons. The 3-tier castle cake sat on a table at the center of the tent, untouched, perfect, waiting for its moment. Victoria stood near the edge of the tent, 20 feet from the low wooden railing that separated the 2 areas of the park. She was holding a glass of sparkling water. Karen stood next to her. They were watching the clown. Victoria turned her head. She looked past the railing toward table 7. She looked at the bedsheet tablecloth. She looked at the paper plates. She looked at the woman in jeans cutting something that was not a cake. She leaned toward Karen. Poor thing. What kind of birthday is that? Looks more like a picnic. Karen did not respond. She sipped her drink. She looked away. The wind carried the words across 20 feet of grass, the way wind carries things it was not asked to carry. Elijah heard it. He was standing near the railing. He had been watching the clown make the giraffe. The balloon squeaked as the clown twisted it. The DJ changed songs. A child screamed with joy somewhere inside the tent. Elijah did not move. He stood with his right hand holding the string of a yellow balloon. His left hand was at his side. He looked down at the paper plate in his mother's hand. The ice cream sandwich on it was melting at the edges. The rainbow sprinkles had started to bleed color into the white ice cream. He did not cry. He did not say anything. He just stood there, looking at the plate, while the string of the balloon pressed a line into his palm. Victoria did not know that the man in the black Escalade in the parking lot was looking directly at her. The wind blew the string against Elijah's wrist. It tapped once, twice, 3 times. He felt it but did not move. The yellow balloon bobbed above him. The string kept tapping. On the 4th tap, he turned around. He walked back to the table. He walked past Isaiah, who was sitting on the bench holding his plate with both hands. He walked past Destiny, who was picking sprinkles off her ice cream sandwich and eating them one at a time. He walked to his mother. Jolene was cutting another piece. The plastic knife was bending again. She did not look up. "Mom." She looked up. "I like your cake better. It tastes like home." Jolene did not cry. She inhaled once through her nose. She pressed her lips together. She held them there for 2 seconds. Then she released them and said, "You want another piece?" "Yeah." She picked up the plastic knife. She pressed it into the bread. The knife bent. The ice cream slid. She steadied the bread with her left hand and cut through it with her right. Her right hand was shaking. Not a lot. Just enough that the cut came out uneven. She placed the piece on his plate. The edges were ragged. She did not fix them. Elijah took the plate and sat down next to Isaiah. Isaiah looked at his own plate. He had eaten half of his ice cream sandwich. The other half was sitting in a pool of melted vanilla. "This is the best ice cream sandwich I ever had," Isaiah said. He said it the way 8-year-olds say things when they are not sure if they mean it or if they are trying to make something true by saying it out loud. He said it without looking at Elijah. He said it to his plate. Elijah did not respond. He just ate. Marcus Jr. and Destiny were back to playing tag. The sounds of the other party drifted across the grass. The DJ, the laughter, the clown. The sounds mixed with the sound of 4 children eating ice cream sandwiches off paper plates under an oak tree, and none of them asking for anything more than what was already on the table. In the parking lot, Marcus sat in the Escalade. The engine was still running. The air conditioning was on. His hands were on the steering wheel, Both of them, 10 and 2. He was looking straight ahead through the windshield at the oak tree and the 6 balloons, and the woman with the shaking hand, and the boy who had just said the word home, as if it were something you could taste. He did not move for 11 seconds. Then he turned off the engine. Marcus opened the door of the Escalade. He stepped onto the asphalt. He was wearing running shoes, gray shorts, and a plain black t-shirt. There was no logo on the shirt. There was no watch on his wrist. Nothing about him said 63 restaurants or 14 states or $1.2 billion on paper. He closed the door. He did not lock it. He walked across the parking lot toward the grass. The distance from the Escalade to the oak tree was roughly 40 yards. Elijah would later remember it as 47 steps. He counted them. He counted them because that is what Elijah did. He counted. Marcus did not walk directly to table 7. He walked along the edge of the grass, past the white tent, past the DJ table where the speaker vibrated with bass, past the gift table with its stacked boxes and curled ribbons. He walked past the 3-tier castle cake. He looked at it for exactly the length of time it takes to see a thing and understand what it costs. Then he kept walking. He walked past Victoria, who was refilling her sparkling water from a glass pitcher. She did not notice him. He was a man in running clothes. He looked like every other jogger who passed through Ridgemont on a Saturday. He walked past the edge of the tent, past the railing, past the invisible line that separated a $4,200 party from a $34.50 one. He stopped at table 7. The bedsheet tablecloth had a juice stain on one corner. The paper plates were stacked in a pile, most of them used. The 6 balloons were tied to the bench. 2 of them had lost enough air that they no longer floated. They hovered at chest height, swaying in whatever direction the wind decided. The ice cream sandwich cake sat in the center of the table. Half of it was gone. The other half had melted into a soft mound of bread and vanilla and rainbow sprinkles. The number 8 candle was still stuck in the top. It had burned down to a stub. A thin line of black wax had dripped onto the bread. Elijah looked up. "Hi," he said. "Hey," Marcus said. "Is it your birthday?" "Yeah." "How old?" 8. Marcus did not say anything. He looked at the candle. He looked at it, the way you look at something that has followed you across 40 years and suddenly appeared in front of you on a picnic table in a public park in Macon, Georgia, on a Saturday afternoon. He looked at Jolene. She was standing behind the table. Her hands were at her sides. She was watching him the way people watch strangers who stop uninvited at their table. She was measuring him. She was deciding whether he was a threat, a pity visit, or a person who was about to say something she would have to recover from in front of her son. "Did you make this?" Marcus said. He pointed at the cake. "It's ice cream sandwiches," Jolene said. Her voice was flat, guarded. "Homemade. My mother made me one just like it," Marcus said, 40 years ago. Bread and peanut butter, 1 candle. She sang Happy Birthday by herself because there was nobody else to sing it with her. Jolene did not respond. She did not know what to do with that sentence. It was not pity. It was not judgment. It was not the thing she had been bracing for. "She sounds nice," Elijah said. Marcus looked at the boy. He looked at him for a long time. "She was," he said. Jolene did not know who he was. She did not know about the 63 restaurants. She did not know about the Forbes list or the food truck in Atlanta or the tin box in a desk drawer with a half-burned candle inside it. She only knew that a stranger in running shoes was looking at her son's birthday cake like it was something sacred. In the United States, a birthday party costs an average of $300 to $500. That number comes from industry surveys. It accounts for cake, decorations, venue, food, and favors. It does not account for the parties that never happen. It does not count the children who do not get a party at all. According to researchers who study childhood poverty and its effects on social development, the majority of children in low-income households in America have never had a formal birthday celebration, not a party at a venue, not a party at home with a guest list and a theme and a cake with their name on it. Many of them have had cake. Many of them have had a candle. But the party, the version with invitations and friends, and the feeling that today the world has organized itself around the fact that you exist, that version is not available to every child who turns a year older. The numbers get harder to hold when you reach the children who have no fixed address. In family shelters across the country, staff members estimate that as many as 1 in 4 children cannot name their exact birth date. Not because they do not care. Because the paperwork that tracks a life, birth certificates, medical records, school enrollment forms, gets lost when the life it tracks moves from apartment to shelter to car to another shelter to another city. In some shelters, the staff organizes a monthly group birthday. 1 cake. 1 round of the song. 12 names. The children stand together and blow out candles that do not belong to any single one of them. It is better than nothing. But it is not the same as hearing the room sing your name and only your name. Child psychologists have a term for what happens when a child watches other children celebrate birthdays and knows that their own will pass without ceremony. They call it birthday shame. It is not about the presents. Children can understand the absence of presents. They can adapt to smaller gifts or no gifts at all. What they cannot adapt to is the absence of recognition. A birthday is the one day a year when a child receives proof that the world has noticed them. When that proof does not arrive, the child does not conclude that the party was too expensive. The child concludes that they were not worth the effort. Birthday shame affects self-esteem in ways that outlast childhood. Studies show that adults who consistently missed birthday celebrations as children are more likely to minimize their own achievements, deflect praise, and describe themselves as undeserving. The party is gone in a day. The feeling stays. Organizations exist that have tried to close this gap. The Birthday Party Project, founded by Paige Chenot in 2012, has organized thousands of birthday parties for children living in shelters and transitional housing across major cities. Each child chooses a theme. Each child hears the song sung with their name in it. Each child gets a cake that is theirs and only theirs. The organization operates on a volunteer model and has chapters in cities, including Dallas, Nashville, Los Angeles, New York, and Atlanta. There are other organizations doing similar work. Some provide birthday kits, a box shipped to a shelter with plates, napkins, a cake mix, candles, and a banner. Some partner with local bakeries that donate cakes. Some simply send a card with the child's name and age written inside. All of them are built on the same idea: that a birthday is not a luxury, that a child's name sung out loud in a room full of people who showed up for them is not a nice thing to have. It is a necessary thing. Jolene did not know these numbers. She did not know the term birthday shame. She did not know about the Birthday Party Project or the shelters or the research. She knew one thing: her son deserved a cake, and she made him one. Even if it was made of bread. Marcus sat down at table 7. Jolene had not exactly invited him. She had not exactly told him to leave. She had shifted to the right on the bench by a few inches, and Marcus had taken that as enough. Elijah was sitting across from him, finishing his second ice cream sandwich. His fingers were sticky with melted vanilla. He wiped them on his shorts and looked at Marcus with the kind of direct attention that only children and certain animals give to strangers. "You said your mom made you a cake like this," Elijah said. "She did," Marcus said. "What was on it?" "Peanut butter. And powdered sugar on top." She cut the bread into a circle with a drinking glass. "That is a good idea," Elijah said. He looked at his own plate. "Mom used ice cream." "Your mom is smart," Marcus said. "I know," Elijah said. He said it without pride or boasting. He said it the way you state a fact that has been true for as long as you can remember. Marcus looked at Jolene. She was watching him the way she had been watching him since he sat down. Carefully. She had not relaxed. She had not unfolded her arms. She was waiting. "Your mom sounds nice," Elijah said. "She was," Marcus said. The word was landed on the table between them, and neither Elijah nor Jolene reached for it. It sat there like a coin dropped in a room where nobody wanted to be the first to pick it up. Marcus reached into the pocket of his shorts. He took out a business card. It was plain white. Black text, his name and a phone number, and the words Tate Foundation underneath. He set it on the table next to a juice box. "I run a foundation," he said. "We help families. I would like to help yours. Not because you need it, but because you remind me of someone who deserved more than she got." Jolene looked at the card. She did not pick it up. "We are fine," she said. "We don't need charity." "It is not charity," Marcus said. "It is a debt I owe my mother." He stood up. He nodded once at Elijah. He walked away from the table. He walked the 47 steps back across the grass toward the parking lot, without looking at the white tent or the castle cake or any of it. Jolene picked up the card. She looked at it for 3 seconds. Then she put it in the back pocket of her jeans. At the edge of the tent, Victoria watched the man in running shoes walk toward the black Escalade. She watched him get in. She watched the engine start. "Who was that?" she said to Karen. Karen had her phone out. She had seen the card on the table. She had read the name from 20 feet away because Karen read everything from 20 feet away. She typed it into the search bar. She looked at the screen. She looked at it for a long time. "What?" Victoria said. Karen turned the phone so Victoria could see the screen. Victoria's face did not change, but her glass of sparkling water stopped halfway to her mouth and stayed there for 5 full seconds before she set it down on the table without drinking. 3 weeks later, Jolene found the business card. It was in the pocket of the jacket she had worn to the park that Saturday. She had not worn the jacket since because the weather had turned warm. She found it on a Sunday morning while checking pockets before doing laundry. She pulled out the card and held it between her thumb and forefinger and looked at the name and the phone number and the words Tate Foundation. She almost threw it away. She held it over the trash can. Her hand was ready. Then Elijah walked into the kitchen. "Mom, that man at the park, the one who sat at our table. What about him? Did his mom have a good birthday when she was little?" Jolene looked at her son. She looked at the card. "I don't know, baby. You should ask him." She put the card on the counter. She did not throw it away. She did not call the number that day. She called it on Tuesday, during the window between her laundromat shift and her diner shift. She sat in her car in the parking lot of Harley's at 4:12 inches the afternoon and dialed. Marcus answered on the 3rd ring. She told him who she was. The woman from the park. The birthday. The ice cream sandwiches. He remembered. He said he had been hoping she would call. He did not offer money. He did not offer a check, or a wire transfer, or a deposit into an account. He asked her a question. "If you could do one thing for children like Elijah, not Elijah, but the ones you have never met, what would it be?" Jolene was quiet. She sat in the car. The engine was off. The parking lot was empty except for 2 other cars and a delivery truck. The diner sign buzzed above her. She could hear the fryer through the kitchen vent. "I would throw them a birthday party," she said, "because no child should be ashamed on their birthday." She said it without hesitation. She said it the way you say something you have been carrying in your body for a long time without knowing the words for it until someone asks. Marcus provided the initial funding. Not a large amount. Enough to start. Jolene filed the paperwork for a nonprofit on a Wednesday night at 11:30 after her diner shift, sitting at the kitchen table with her laptop open and Elijah asleep in the next room. She named it Every Child's Birthday. She did not quit her jobs. She worked both shifts. She came home and wrote emails to shelters and community centers and churches. She wrote them in the same careful way she had counted the coins in the pickle jar. One at a time. Patient. Precise. Not expecting a response. Sending them anyway. The first party was on a Saturday in October. A women's shelter on the south side of Macon. 6 children. The youngest was 3, the oldest was 11. Jolene brought a real cake. Not expensive. A sheet cake from the grocery store bakery. 18美元99美分. She had the bakery write each child's name on it in a different color of icing. She brought balloons. She brought paper plates and napkins and juice boxes. She brought a small speaker and played music from her phone. She sang Happy Birthday 6 times, once for each child. Each time she used only that child's name. Elijah was there. He blew up the balloons. 14 of them. He counted. He stood in the corner of the room and handed each child a balloon and watched their face when they took it. He did not say much. He did not need to. He was the boy who counted things, and now he was counting something that mattered. Jolene organized 3 more parties that month, then 4 the next month. Then she lost count. She did not lose count because the number got too big. She lost count because the counting stopped being the point. The point was the sound of a child's name in a room full of people who showed up. The point was the look on a face when a 3-year-old realizes the cake is for them. Not for the group, not for the month. For them. Marcus did not attend the parties. He funded them quietly. He called Jolene once a month to ask how things were going. She gave him numbers: how many children, how many cities, how many cakes. He listened. He did not give advice. He did not ask for recognition. He just listened the way someone listens when they understand that the work being described is not about them. It was about a kitchen with yellow walls and a piece of bread cut into a circle and a woman who sang Happy Birthday alone because there was no one else to sing it with her. It was always about that. In 2019, a school district in the suburbs of Atlanta implemented a policy that changed something small but significant. The district sent a letter to every parent at the start of the school year. The letter said that birthday party invitations could not be distributed in class unless every child in the class received one. The policy was not new. Several districts across the country had adopted similar rules. The reasoning was simple. When a child hands out invitations to 15 classmates and skips 3, the 3 who are skipped do not need to read the invitation to understand the message. They understand it immediately. They understand it in the silence where their name should have been. The policy generated complaints. Some parents called it overreach. Some said it was not the school's job to manage birthday guest lists. Some said their children had the right to choose their own friends. The school counselor, who had proposed the policy, responded with a single data point. In the previous school year, she had met with 14 students who came to her office in tears on days when birthday invitations were handed out in class and they did not receive one. 14 children, one school, 1 year. She did not argue the policy on principle. She argued it on faces. 14 of them. Child psychologists use the term birthday shame to describe what happens when a child's birthday becomes a source of embarrassment rather than celebration. The term covers a range of experiences. It includes children who have no party. It includes children whose party is visibly smaller or cheaper than their peers' parties. It includes children who lie about what they did on their birthday because the truth feels like something that needs to be hidden. The effects are measurable. Children who experience birthday shame repeatedly show higher rates of social withdrawal, lower classroom participation, and a pattern of downplaying their own needs that researchers describe as learned invisibility. The child learns that taking up space, asking for attention, expecting celebration, wanting to be seen is something that is available to other children but not to them. This is not about cake. It is not about balloons. It is about whether a child believes, on the one day that is specifically and only theirs, that they are worth the effort of being celebrated. Jolene did not know the term birthday shame. She did not read the studies. She did not know the data. She knew a face. She knew the face Elijah made when he heard Victoria say what she said at the park. She knew the way his eyes moved down to the plate in her hand. She knew the silence that followed, and she knew that she never wanted another child to make that face. 2 years after the Saturday afternoon at Ridgemont Park, every child's birthday had organized parties in multiple cities across Georgia. Jolene had stopped counting the cakes. Elijah had not. He kept a number in his notebook, 1 line per party. Just the date and the number of children. He was still counting. He was still writing 1 line every night in the small brown notebook with the soft cover. That night, after the park, after the ice cream sandwiches and the 6 balloons and the man in running shoes and the 47 steps, Jolene carried Elijah to bed. He was heavy, 8 years old, and heavy in the way children are heavy when they fall asleep in the car and do not wake up when you lift them. She laid him on the bed. She pulled the sheet over him. She took off his shoes and set them on the floor. She sat on the edge of the mattress. The room was dark. The hallway light came through the crack under the door in a thin orange line. The notebook was on the pillow. It was open to today's page. Elijah had written in it before he fell asleep. 1 line. The handwriting leaned to the right because he held his pencil too tight. Today was the best birthday. Mom made cake. A man said his mom made the same one. I had 4 friends. The balloon didn't pop. Jolene read it. She read it again. She pressed her hand flat on the page, the way you press your hand on something you want to keep from blowing away. She sat there for a long time. Then she said something. Not to Elijah, not to anyone. She said it to the dark room and the thin line of orange light and the notebook under her hand. Make a wish. Don't tell nobody. Just keep it right here. She pressed her palm against her own chest. She held it there. She closed her eyes. The words had traveled from a kitchen with yellow walls in Atlanta, through 40 years, through a man who kept a candle in a tin box, through a parking lot where he sat for 4 minutes watching a woman press a single candle into bread and ice cream, through a picnic table, and a conversation and a business card in a jacket pocket, through a phone call in a diner parking lot, all the way to this room, this bed, this hand on this chest. Gloria said them to Marcus. Marcus told them to Jolene. And now, Jolene held them the way both of them had, close, against her body, in the place where wishes live. If you know a mother like Jolene, share this story with her. She will understand it in a way that does not need explaining. If you were a child like Elijah, if your birthday was bread and a candle and a bench in a park, and a mother who stayed up past midnight making something out of almost nothing, then you deserved that party. You always did. Subscribe. The next story is already waiting. This story is fictional. Jolene, Elijah, Marcus, and Victoria are not real people, but the Birthday Party Project is real. It was founded in 2012 and has organized birthday celebrations for thousands of children living in homeless shelters across the United States. Birthday shame is real, the research is real, and the children are real. Links in the description.